It's not about the education system, it's about the culture. The Hong Kong education system is very exam oriented, right?
I think this is much more easier than in China.
Education system in Hong Kong has long been criticized for being rigid and lack of creativity. Yet, our students are very exam-oriented. So today we have two graduates from mainland China and a graduate from Hong Kong, myself. We are going to challenge a native English speaker in a DSE mock examination. We're going to find out how we stack against a native English-speaking teacher. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we got our friend Dennis over here. So
Hi.
Dennis, where are you from?
Originally from near Oxford in England.
Oh.
Okay. And how long have you been in Hong Kong for?
I've been here just under 2 years.
So what do you do here?
And I teach maths here.
Oh.
Math.
Do you love maths?
No. What do you think about like teaching in Hong Kong? Have you previously taught before?
Yeah, I've taught for about 10 years. Been obviously teaching here just under 2 years. It's not much difference in terms of where I taught before because maths is such an international subject. Of course.
Right.
Yes.
There's not much. It's not influenced by culture.
Do you teach at a local school or an
International school, yeah.
So it must be quite similar with where you're from, right?
Yeah. So the system, the way the exams are set up is very similar. I haven't had any differences, and when I came here I only had a couple of weeks to sort of settle in, but because it was quite similar, it was quite easy to do that, I think.
So even though you teach at an international school, right, so the students are apparently a lot of them are from Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
So do you notice any difference between like the culture, how they learn and stuff like that between like Hong Kong?
I think in Hong Kong there's a lot of students in my subjects, maths, have maths tutors.
Right.
In the UK, you generally tend to get one if you're struggling, whereas in Hong Kong, there's an expectation from some students, I think, that they have maths tutors to get ahead of the other students.
Right.
So I find education here, I think, is probably more competitive.
Today we'll have DSE reading test. Let's start.
It's been such a long time since I've last taken a Hong Kong open exam.
Ten minutes left. Time's up.
Now we're done with our exam papers, so we're gonna exchange our papers with our other fellow candidates, and we're gonna mark each other's paper to find out who is going down. So I got Dennis's paper.
Yeah.
I've got Hampton's paper.
I got Dominic paper.
So
Okay,
let's
let's
find
start.
out.
A few moments later.
Drum rolling. So this is the moment of truth. So who scored the best in this exam?
Guys. Da 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 da.
So Dennis got 23 out of 24.
Yeah.
Hamilton got 19 out of 24.
And Dominic is fully correct. It's 24 points. It's
Yay, thank you.
fantastic.
How do you feel about taking this exam?
It wasn't too bad. I missed one out, which is why I didn't get full marks. I thought it said leave it blank. It's difficult sometimes. I'm not always convinced that certain words mean certain things. So for example, the first one where it says find a phrase that shows they're entering adulthood, you could say that moving into their prime spending years, that doesn't necessarily mean that.
Right. How is it different from the English exams that you have taken in the past?
Well, there's a lot, I suppose the stuff you read's harder. So you'll be reading much more complicated media. You'd also be asked to interpret Old English maybe as well. If you studied English literature, you'd be doing Old English from like Shakespeare.
A lot more writing, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know much. I haven't taught English before, so I don't really know. But it's been a long time since I've done English at school. But it would be a lot more quantity and harder to read, I think.
Yeah.
I think the reading is not very difficult, but it takes just a little bit time for me. I didn't do reading such thing for a long time. Maybe next time we can hold a mathematics exam. And
I think you probably beat me
And you will
actually.
This test is a good test in regards to the English capability of a particular student.
Yeah, I think so. Most of the stuff there you would say is quite, you'd need to understand to read English comfortably.
Right.
It's not difficult to read it. But, so yeah, I would say it probably is. If you could read and interpret that, then you'd be confident at speaking and reading English, I think.
Right.
Or certainly reading. Because it's not easy. It's not, it's aimed at probably an adult, but sort of not too difficult.
Right.
So sort of survival.
So the average.
Yeah.
Average. Are these exams different from those in mainland China?
I think this is much more easier than in China. In China, sometimes you cannot fully understand the paragraph actually.
TOEFL.
And sometimes we do the question by misguessing and misunderstanding, and sometimes check whether you are not it. But this is when I do that, I think I can fully understand the context and write exactly the answer.
I'm actually the only person here who has been through the Hong Kong education system, and I think that's the only reason why I did better than you guys. Because when I read the questions, I know what they're trying to ask, right? Actually, it's quite interesting scoring your paper, because the way you answer the question is very un-Hong Kong-y. For example, when we answer these questions as a Hong Kong examination machine, basically we would use the words that exist in the slide. Right. So what we'll do is basically we pull some wordings, the phrase out directly from the paragraph. But when I see your question, a lot of these answers are basically based on how you understand the actual question.
Yeah.
Right, so you actually reworded some of these answers. I find it interesting, but it's also, if you were actually to take a Hong Kong examinations, there is one question that I put a question mark, because I'm worried that under some teachers who are scoring this paper, they may not give you a mark for this, even though I know that your answer is right. But in the slide, it actually says, as they go older, they will likely have a desire to settle down, and this could lead to a surge in home sales. So what a typical good student from Hong Kong would do is they would just take out this sentence. It comes to reflect, like, because the Hong Kong education system is very exam oriented, right? We have very few, like, what do you say, literature, right? So when you do a literature exam, it's very difficult to have a marking scheme. They do have some sort of marking scheme even for international baccalaureate, which is IB, but it is very difficult to have, like, the exact wording type of marking schemes like we have here, right? So I think that is one of the major differences that strike me when scoring your paper. Obviously your English is perfect because you're a native speaker. Just like the way you answer this question, it's going to be very different from Hong Kong.
When I did exams, were you be encouraged to rephrase things?
Right.
Rather than pull it out, you would have to rephrase because you'd have to explain what it meant.
Right.
Do you think the education system to train students like a texting machine?
I think it's more to do with the culture of Hong Kong, or actually Asia, as opposed to the education system itself. I think the major difference is how the culture really shaped how people learn. You previously mentioned that Hong Kong students would have tutors regardless, right? But in the UK, only if you're struggling, then you have tutors, right? So it's the approach to education. Even if the education were different, let's say if a Hong Konger would study American system, they will still be exam oriented. They will still have mechanism. It's not about the education system, it's about the culture. Like I did a SAT before, and we go to this school called Kaplan, where we learn about, like, we do flashcards and stuff like that. It's completely different. I feel like, even if we were to change our education system, it would have still been the same. So thank you, Dennis, for joining us for this challenge, and it's great to find out, different perspective about Hong Kong's education and education in general. So if you find it value to this video, please subscribe to our channel. Please like, comment, and share this video. We'll see you next time. Bye.